A woman came up to me, what this thing was on my face, why there was a loud thing in the air.
There's a lot of stereotype on FPV pilots.
I'll be talking about, oh yeah, I just bought a new drone. A family member, what's stopping you from putting something dangerous on this and turning it into a weapon?
Any opportunities or challenge?
Having to post content frequently, figuring out how to different hashtags and how to tag the right brand.
Why you still drive you to fly again every time?
Build a brand new drone. That was really awesome. I hadn't really been able to do that. Mario 5 here, a really cool frame. It was the most complicated one I ever built. I hope that SpeedyBee continues to push boundaries and continues to try new things.
Hi everyone, welcome to SpeedyBee BuzzChat. I'm Chelsea, your host for this channel. BuzzChat was created to provide a warm community for FPV pilots to connect with the fellow enthusiasts and to introduce more people to the excitement and joy of PV flying. Today, I'm thrilled to have Dontano from Always Stay Focused Media with us to share his experience with FPV flying. Dontano, why don't you tell us a bit about yourself?
Hi, yeah, so my name is Dontano. I run an automotive photography business called Always Stay Focused Media. I'm a senior mechanical engineering student in the United States, and I've been flying FPV for about 4.5 years now. I have a number of drones, a couple of which you can actually see up on my wall up there.
Yeah.
And I've been very interested in the hobby and am excited to continue learning and growing as a pilot.
So how did you first get into FPV flying?
I first started off by seeing a whole bunch of different YouTube videos of pilots, mostly flying down like the sides of mountains and going down the ridges of cliffs, and kind of just falling in love with the cinematic look of it. And I started looking around on YouTube and trying to find some videos on how do you even get started with the hobby. And I found a really simple budget build for $200 and started from there and built my first drone from scratch.
So what made you stick with it and become so passionate about it?
I've always been interested in learning new skills, especially when they're kind of out of the ordinary and things that a lot of people don't get to do. So the opportunity to put on a set of goggles and go flying through the air was something that I never thought I'd be able to do, and I didn't know anyone else who did that. And I kind of just fell in love with the feeling of flying. I've been in a couple different like glider airplanes a couple times and loved that, and being able to fly a drone was about as close as I could get.
How has FPV flying influenced your life?
It's made me see a lot of my kind of natural world around me very differently. Anytime that I'm driving around, I'm always looking for different places to go fly. Anytime I see a river or the side of a mountain or a hill, I just want to hop out of my car and put my goggles on and go fly. Which is really cool. I feel like it's been helping me look at nature more, especially when I'm driving, and being more attentive to all of the beautiful sights around, whether it's buildings or playgrounds or sides of mountains.
And what is the most exciting and memorable experience you've ever had while you're flying?
Two of my favorites are actually from Christmas Eve, both this year and last year. Last year, Christmas Eve, I was out in Illinois, and I got to fly around a railroad track. And there was this really big water tower right next to the railroads. And I was having so much fun figuring out how to fly up and dive down the side of the water tower. Where I live in the United States, it's pretty hilly. There's lots of terrain. So going out to Illinois, where it's just flat for as far as you can see, was really wild. And being able to get the drone really high up in the air and just see how flat it is was cool. And then this year, for Christmas Eve, I went up to Vermont, where it's called the Green Mountain State for a reason. There's so many mountains, and most of them are evergreen trees, so they just stay this really deep, rich, dark green all year round. and I got to go fly over one of the rivers in Vermont that had all these ice caps all over it, which was really wild. And that was a first for me, and I'm excited to do more of that.
That sounds great. So did you use SpeedyBee product in your experience?
Yes, definitely. The first story, the SpeedyBee product that I was using was the F405, I think that was the 55 amp flight stack, which was on the first drone that I built. And then this past year, I was flying my most recent drone, which is using the Mario 5 frame from SpeedyBee, as well as the 1800 kV motors, and the F405 60 amp flight stack on board. And it was a really great experience.
So as you use SpeedyBee product in your FPV experience, I'm wondering what features or service from us stood out to you the most?
One of the biggest things that I really like is the ability to connect to your phone via Bluetooth. I like being able to change settings while I'm flying, and sometimes I forgot to set something up when I was at my computer with the drone. So being able to hook up to my phone and be able to change any of the settings in Betaflight that I need is really awesome. And I don't know of any other flight control brands that are doing that right now.
Yeah, has SpeedyBee helped improve or simplify your FPV flying, and how?
I would say it's definitely made it simple in a lot of ways. Buying a pre-built flight stack that works well together, the ESC and the flight controller all function together. It's just one wire to plug them in. Has been very convenient, and I like that. As well as the cheaper cost than a lot of other products is really great. Like I mentioned, I'm a college student, so I don't have a huge budget to work with. So the fact that SpeedyBee is willing to put out really good products that have a lot of the same features as other brands, but keeping the price very competitive is awesome.
So do you have any tips or insight about using SpeedyBee product that you would like to share with the community?
I think there's a lot of documentation online on how a lot of the products work. There's a really good community on Discord where people are always talking and sharing their experiences. And the few times that I've had to reach out to the customer support team, they're very quick to get back, and I haven't had any issues. I can't say I've used too many other brands, so I don't have too much to compare to. But I guess part of the reason for that is I haven't had any issues with SpeedyBee products. They've been fairly consistent, which is good. It's important to know that when you're going to go fly, the thing in the air is going to be solid and hold together.
So just a quick question, do you have your YouTube channel?
I do have a YouTube channel, yeah. It's ASF Media. It's a fairly small channel right now, so it's kind of hard to find. But if you look around for ASF Media on YouTube, you'll find it. I've posted a number of my flight videos. I started the YouTube channel when I was just kind of trying to post stuff for my own record. That way I could look back and show friends, hey, I went and flew yesterday, take a look. There's a couple videos where I brought my camera and I did a little kind of mini vlog, but nothing that was super crazy. More recently, I've started getting into doing product reviews, partnering with SpeedyBee, which has been awesome. Getting my hands on more products and be able to give feedback. I think the world is better when more people get to talk about things and companies get more kind of real world users. And it's been awesome to start being a part of that.
That is true. Have you ever faced any opportunities or challenges in growing your media presence, and how you see it or how you overcome them?
As far as my YouTube, it's been fairly slow. I don't post all that frequently. I work a full-time job, so I don't have a ton of time to go out and record stuff.
True.
And it's definitely been a little bit challenging sometimes to, push through that that slowdown. With my Instagram page, which really doesn't have much of my FPV work, that's mostly my photography. I've definitely experienced some of the struggles of having to post content frequently and figuring out how to use all the different hashtags and how to tag the right brands and stuff to get recognition. But it's been a fun process. Some of my photography has been featured by Jeep and Honda and Kia. A couple of my photos have been on various of their different websites and pages, which has been cool. And it's good to see that personal growth as well.
So what type of the FPV related content you plan to share on channel in the future? Do you have any exciting ideas?
Yeah, so one of the ideas that I just finished working on, and I can actually show it here, on the SpeedyBee Mario 5 frame, which I built, and this was the same one that I flew up in Vermont. I actually made a custom mount on top right here. And this is actually going to hold the same camera that I'm recording this video on. And I'm really excited to see how this drone performs with a mirrorless camera rather than just a GoPro. And I'm definitely planning on getting some videos recorded and putting something up on YouTube, because I think that'll be a lot of fun.
Great, good to know. And are you considering participating in more community events or competitions?
I'm definitely interested in that. I don't really have too many resources to kind of figure out where those happen. I know that there's a number of different Tiny Whoop competitions that are happening right now, but I'm not involved in any. I'd love to be, and I'm trying to find more FPV communities to reach out to be able to try and go to like a group up fly day, where a whole bunch of pilots all just hang out and go fly. I haven't had the chance yet, but I'm definitely wanting to.
Do you have any message or hopes for the FPV community?
I think FPV is in an interesting spot right now. You know, there's a lot of news about drones being used in not so fun ways. There's a lot of people using drones to do bad things, and I think those people are very different than the ones who fly for fun. I think if you're an FPV pilot and you like flying for fun, I think you need to continue doing that and continue educating people. Keep being friendly, keep talking to people and sharing experiences. There was one time where I was flying at my local park, and a woman came up to me, and I was a little bit nervous that she was gonna start, giving me a hard time for flying in this park. But she was just really curious to find out what this thing was on my face and why there was a loud thing in the air. And it led to a really great conversation just talking about drones. And she did ask about like, oh, well, do you ever fly for the military? And I think it's really important to talk about the differences there. Talk about how, we fly these drones for fun. We fly them to build community and just get up in the air and have fun. We're not flying to cause trouble. And I think it's really important that people get that message and understand that there is a very big difference.
Yeah, and I'm glad to let you know that we are planning to have a SpeedyBee gift box in the future, and our inspiration comes from a motto which is called Fly, Eat, Sleep, Repeat. And I'm wondering, does it reflect your daily life as a FPV pilot, and if you so, how you balance this cycle with other life demands?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of FPV flying that very much aligns with that fly, eat, sleep, repeat. Every time you go out and fly, you only have a couple batteries. They only last a couple minutes each. And at the end of the day, you have to go back home. You have to eat dinner, go to bed, and maybe get up for work the next day. And, I think it's really important that you push through and go charge up a couple more batteries and go out and fly again. It's a hobby that you can't sit down and do for 5 hours at a time. I only have 3 or 4 batteries that I can ever use at one time without charging them. And I think it's really important to just kind of have that repetition of, if you want to learn something, you want to get better at it, you just got to get up and go do it.
That is true. What do you think it is the biggest challenge that this kind of the lifestyle bring to you?
I think the biggest challenge is damaging your drone. I think as you're trying to learn new tricks, as you're trying to push the limits of your flying skills, you're going to crash. I think any pilot who says they've never crashed, probably only flies in the simulator. I think any pilot can crash at any time, and that's hard to push through. It's pretty easy to pick your drone up, bend a prop, and get back in the air. But if you break your GoPro, or you break your camera, or you break an arm on the drone, it really kind of cuts into the ability to fly, and you have to go home and you have to go discharge your batteries. Kind of the walk of shame of FPV is uncharging your batteries without being able to fly them. And I think a lot of people struggle to push through that. Is you're going to crash when you start learning, and it's hard to get through that sometimes.
As there are so many challenges, why you still drive you to repeat, which is also mean fly again?
Yeah, a lot of it is just seeing all these people online, seeing all the different amazing YouTube clips that people put up, and thinking like, hey, that could be me, knowing that they started the same place I did. They also probably crashed their drone 100 times, and they just kept pushing through, and now they're traveling around the country, around the world, and filming these gorgeous videos. And it's because they push through. It's not because they're a perfect pilot. And I think that's a really important piece to keep in mind, is that if you keep practicing and keep pushing, you will get better.
Yeah. So back to the gift box. We set the theme of the gift box as breaking boundaries, because we seek a connection between FPV pilots and SpeedyBee in the shared attitude of constant improvement and pushing limits. So at this stage in your FPV journey, what is your boundary look like?
Right now, there's some physical boundaries as far as my ability to travel places. A lot of pilots that I see online are, they're going to the Netherlands, they're going to Greenland, Iceland, all of these just gorgeous locations, and that's not where I live. That's not something that I can do right now, and I would love to be able to, and it doesn't matter how good of a pilot I am. I'm not in those places right now, and that's definitely something that's hard to push through right now, is finding the best places that I can fly where I live. As well as my skills. I'm definitely limited by my abilities in the air. There's a lot of the freestyle type of flying that I'm trying to get a lot better with. There's plenty of pilots I know who can, power loop and Matty flip and Rubik's Cube and do all of these crazy freestyle tricks that I don't have super well. I can fly in a straight line, I can avoid hitting trees, but I can't go to an abandoned warehouse and fly through tiny windows. And that's something I'm working on. That's something I'm trying to do better with.
Have you ever had a memorable experience where you felt you broke a limitation?
Yeah, a recent time when I was flying at my local park, there's a little playground, and it's pretty cold out right now, so there aren't really any kids on the playground. There aren't too many even dog walkers. It's pretty empty, so I decided I was going to try and go fly around on this little playground. And I was really proud of myself because I finally got a power loop going underneath a jungle gym monkey bars. So I flew under, power looped up, and came back and sped through underneath. And that was really awesome. I hadn't really been able to do that up until then. So being able to just finally push through and do it felt really good.
I'm happy for you. And are there any moments in the FPV flying when you feel you want to give up?
There have definitely been some times that I've struggled to keep going. The first summer that I was flying, I crashed my drone. I hit, I think I was flying over a racetrack, like a foot running racetrack. And I hit the ground pretty hard, and I broke an arm off of the drone, and crushed a battery, and ruined a whole bunch of the solder pads, actually. So some of my motors, the motor wires, pulled the solder pads off of the board, so I couldn't even fix by just resoldering. And you know, that was a $65, $70 circuit board that I'd have to replace, and it put me back on the ground for a little while. I didn't fly for a couple months, and then I eventually found the motivation and bought some new parts, decided, all right, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna build a brand new drone, and this one's gonna be even better. And that was when I first started flying 6S. I had been flying on a 4S drone up until then. So I think that's a really great example of, just because you crash, it's not a failure. You know, it's not something that you need to give up from. So I crashed, and I ended up building a new drone, and I still have that. That's this red one up here on the wall that you can see. That's my favorite analog drone to fly right now. It's a lot of fun, and I've had it ever since that first really bad crash.
What is your favorite piece of gear?
I like frames. I think it's really cool how many different companies come up with their own unique frames. And at the end of the day, all FPV frames do the same thing, right? They all hold 4 motors, a camera, and some circuitry. But everyone has their own idea of what the perfect frame looks like. And it's been really cool to test out different frames. So like I said, I have the SpeedyBee Mario 5 here, which is a really cool frame, and it was the most complicated one I ever built, and it was a lot of fun to build, and in some ways kind of frustrating, but I'm really happy with it. I think this is the cleanest drone that I've put together, and it's fun to kind of mess around with the frames and see how to put them together as best as possible.
Yeah, you know, there's a lot of stereotype on FPV pilots, and what do you think is the most common stereotype about the pilot, and have you ever encountered them?
I think one of the biggest ones is that people who fly drones, people who are FPV pilots, they're trying to cause trouble. I think that's definitely an assumption that a lot of people make. The drones are loud, and they're powerful, and they're fast, and they can be scary if you don't know what's going on. And I've had a lot of conversations, especially with family. I'll be talking about, oh yeah, I just bought a new drone, and a family member or someone will, ask, oh well, what's stopping you from, putting something dangerous on this and turning it into a weapon? And I would say, well, you know me. That's not something I'm gonna do. Someone may want to do that, and I disagree with that. But I think a lot of dealing with any kind of stereotype is standing up for yourself and standing up for your community. I know that FPV pilots aren't trying to cause trouble. And sure, I'm sure there's some people in the world who want to mess around and get reactions out of people, but I don't speak for them, and they don't speak for me.
Sure. Orally speaking, is being a FPV pilot an identity that you are proud of?
Yeah, definitely. It's fun to join all the different FPV pilot communities and talk with people and share my flight experiences. And I think it's enough of a skill and enough of a kind of speciality to be able to fly these drones that I think it is reasonable to call it some kind of an identity. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. And if you had to summarize your understanding of FPV flying in just one sentence, what would it be?
I think it's a lot about freedom and expressing yourself in a way that most people don't get the chance to.
And I also want to know, what are your expectations for your future FPV flying, and what role do you hope SpeedyBee will play in this journey?
I'm hoping that FPV gets more popular. I'm hoping that more companies get involved and try and make their own products. I think right now there are, especially in the video camera system area, there's a lot of, I guess I would say, monopoly being had. If you want to fly a digital drone you only have 3 companies that you can fly. You've got Walksnail, DJI, and HD0. And I think the fact that there's only 3 limits a lot, and I think competition, it drives innovation. I think the more companies and the more people that get out and try things, the more all of these companies are going to be forced to try new things, and I think that's how the hobby grows. I hope that SpeedyBee continues to push boundaries and continues to try new things. I think it's absolutely okay for companies to make mistakes, just like people. And I think the importance is how the company deals with those. I wouldn't even call them mistakes, I would call them learning experiences. Not every product is going to be perfect, but at the same time, every product can be learned from. Even a product that 10% of pilots actually use. Okay, well, why? What about this product is making those 10% of pilots love it? And what can you learn about kind of changing the product for the new generation? And I think that's a really important thing, and I hope that SpeedyBee continues to do that and continues to upgrade things. And I've seen that a lot with previous products from the company, and I hope that that trend continues.
Yeah, definitely, and thank you for information. And thank you so much, Dontano, for sharing your journey and insight with us. It's been a pleasure having you on SpeedyBee BuzzChat. Everyone, make sure to check out Dontano's YouTube channel for amazing FPV content. And don't forget to subscribe SpeedyBee's channel to catch upcoming BuzzChat episodes. See you next time. Bye-bye.